to be here for the Sherpa meeting. I know all of us have very hectic schedules, and just a month ago we were in Cape Town, but we were directed by our ministers to convene as soon as possible to finalize our report on expansion so that ministers could have a discussion. And they are scheduled to meet tentatively on the 20th of July, virtually, to consider our report and for them to make recommendations on expansion to our leaders when we have the summit in Sandton in Johannesburg on the 23rd and 24th of August. We will give you more details on preparations for the summit before close of business tomorrow. Now, in terms of the way we'll organize ourselves, we will divide our work into two sectors. I want us to first concentrate on trying to get agreement on guiding principles, standard, and criteria for expansion. And the second part, to look at expansion itself, how we define expansion and what type of expansion we can get agreement on, and look at all aspects of expansion. So if we agreed to that approach, I would suggest we try and work off the text that we have circulated to you and we have subsequently revised with your inputs. And we did circulate it over the weekend, but perhaps you didn't have time to look at it because many of you would have started on your travel to South Africa. But we will work off that text so that we have a focused approach. We know that this is a very focused meeting just on expansion, and I think there's an expectation from our principals that at the conclusion of our meeting, we are able to make some firm recommendations, hopefully arrived at through consensus for their consideration. The verbal report that I provided to the foreign ministers in Cape Town, based on the work that we had undertaken, was, I wouldn't say well received, was noted, but sent back to us to say, go and finish your work. So that's our responsibility. We need to finish what has been assigned to us. And I'm confident that over the next 2 days, we'll be able to find consensus on all of the issues before discussion, has been the tradition when we do get together to discuss issues. I fully understand that this is a sensitive issue. We need to be mindful of and respect the position of each one of us and try and be as flexible and accommodating as possible in trying to find consensus on the issues before us.
I think I greet also the other Sherpas, my friends and Zulu Sherpas, and I think we're in good hands under your chairmanship. As you know, in our previous discussions, we were dealing with three aspects of BRICS institutional development. We had consolidation of cooperation mechanisms, engagement with third countries and international organizations, and the possible expansion of the membership framework. And this is a meeting that will focus only on the third issue. We understand that, but we believe that we cannot lose sight of the other two, which are equally important and interrelated. We understand that despite efforts that we've made, no consensus has been achieved on those three issues, so that's the reality. It's clear that each and one of our countries has a different conception of how our cooperation should proceed, and how should we structure or even call our engagement with third countries and an international organization, and how and if we should expand BRICS membership. So this is something that should bear in mind. For us, for Brazil, the priority is preserving BRICS identity and cohesion and efficiency. I don't know if we should go, or if I should go further on commenting what is our general approach, because maybe we can do it further.
We can come to the details in the discussion.
So basically that's the main thrust, but we're ready to engage and to work constructively under your wise leadership.
This is a unique environment and very unique background which you also shared with us, and it's so impressive in all senses. I think we find ourselves in one of the most beautiful places, not just in the east coast of South Africa, but in the whole continent and beyond. I think everyone will depart bearing in mind what is now being soaked into our souls, and thank you for this. I am very grateful for the South African chairship for guiding us towards this extraordinary Sherpa meeting. It will not be an easy one, we recognize this, but we look very much forward to an open, frank, and productive discussions. And being optimistic to the endorsement of proposals for a BRICS membership expansion process on the basis of the draft circulated by the chairship. Let me emphasize that the launch of discussions on BRICS expansion and its cooperation with external partners is highly relevant and very timely. We really need to give impetus to our discussions and then take a political decision on how to conduct our work further. We have said that before, and I only need to underscore once again the Russian position that we cannot ignore a very strong response of the developing world to the BRICS expansion plans. And now it's a unique moment that we cannot lose. So we fully support the intention of the South African chairship to gain substantial progress in the run-up to the summit. Of course, it means reaching consensus on guiding principles, standards, criteria, and procedure for BRICS expansion. At the same time, we keep in mind our collective task to preserve the high level of BRICS cooperation, effectiveness, and unity already achieved. And I think those two benchmarks, those two tasks are not mutually contradictory. They are mutually supportive, and I believe we may progress on both if the political will is there and our ability as the teams to work constructively and with an open mind. I stop here. Thank you once again.
Very much, Hamid, and to your team for this warm hospitality to me and my delegation. I think you are, every time we come to South Africa, it's raising the benchmarks, and it's looked even better than Cape Town here. What a wonderful setting, your hometown, and the venue is facing the sea, Indo-Atlantic. We are embarking on a new understanding of these geopolitical dimensions of relationship. But first of all, and as Eduardo says, the way South Africa is hosting these events is attracting a lot of countries to join BRICS. Perhaps this is the reason why many countries are lined up to become the BRICS. But there are many shades to your entertainment. I must say that yesterday we had a fantastic time. We started Sergei's birthday celebrations, which is a week long. I think. So, well, thank you for that. And also thank you for the overview you've given on Durban. This is my first visit, and it's such a beautiful place. I think these 2 days meetings are extremely important, and we recognize that. Also, this is coming from our own leaders, foreign ministers' guidances, how we come to understanding of the expansion issue. We have to recognize that the world is dynamically changing. There's no doubt about that. 10 years ago, what BRICS was is different to today, and even geopolitically, so many challenges that are taking place. So it's obviously good reason that a dynamically evolving BRICS would seek partnerships in either in a permanent manner or as a partnership manner. But I think that needs to be discussed in these next 2 days. I think what is more important, India, we have contributed to a set of criteria and guidelines. I think we will go by how you want to take them forward in terms of generating discussion on each one of them. And of course, the spirit of BRICS is that we should have consensus on every one of them. And what more, you are under your leadership, we are confident that by end of tomorrow, we should be able to find some kind of consistency on each one of them so that we report back to our ministers. I'm also reminded by my colleagues that, 21st June was International Yoga Day. So we would like to emphasize again the importance of yoga in our life. It's not a religion, it's a way of life, it's a philosophy. And after the 2 intense negotiations, you need to have some spirituality to go back there to find some semblance. So you have some document to distribute, so he will do, Girish will do it at the end of it. But thank you very much. Looking forward to constructive contribution to this 2-day deliberation.
I'd like to express appreciation to South Africa for organizing this very important meeting. Also, thank Anil for bringing us to this very beautiful place, your hometown. The organization of this meeting shows the seriousness and the devotion of our presidency to this very important issue in membership expansion. This is important because we do face the task to finish our job, to respond and hand over our reports to foreign ministers and the leaders as well. It's important to talk about this issue and make progress because the situation at this moment has changed dramatically vis-a-vis 10 years ago when I attended the Durban meeting, first time here in this place. The geopolitical situation, the world economic situation has changed dramatically. So we do need a more balanced approach in the world. And then the high call from developing countries to be our partners in this vehicle. There is, according to our presidency's statistics, more than 20 are there to knock the door, so we need to respond to them. And then, of course, this is also the request for our own institutional development, the BRICS development as well. So this is a high time and important time for us to talk about this very important issue. South Africa has laid a very good foundation, the proposal, and we have already put our input to this proposal, and we will very constructively and responsibly contribute and participate in the discussion today and tomorrow. I'd like to echo maybe Sergei's word of a political will. This is very important. This is a political decision, so we need to demonstrate our political will for this whole process. So thank you very much again for this. We will have a high expectation for this discussion.